Welcome back to my channel, Fazbear's Menagerie of Madness, where I'll explore the universe of Five Nights at Freddy's and I hope in a new and unique interpretation of events. So, sit back, grab that popcorn, and let's dive into the intriguing world of Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm going to go back to the game's sister location to look over the soap opera, The Immortal and The Restless. The idea for this episode came from the YouTube channel, Kikilala. The episode titled, Unmasking the Secret Identity of Cassidy in FNAF spoke about Cassidy being in Afton. While I'm still considering Cassidy being the child, the point raised about Clara being a mistress was most interesting. So in this episode, I'm going over my thoughts for the fourth Afton child. The description for Clara given several times is that she is a distressed mistress of Vlad's. Mistress means that Vlad was married and the relationship he and Clara had was taking place during the marriage. Throughout the soap opera we understand that Vlad is defiant the child isn't his. Giving the reason that he is too old, Vlad disputes his responsibility with the child. Although the story could have been told without Vlad's connection with a wife. And Vlad's wife is not mentioned at all. As a soap opera, it adds to the drama, although the multiple mentions of Clara being the mistress stand out to me as a possible clue of something more. The community sentiment that Vlad is a stand-in for William Afton is well known. Throughout the series his wife doesn't receive a direct mention. The therapy CDs give a possible connection between Bill and a wife, although only the presumption of a bad outcome. For those who have seen my second video, titled The Unspoken First Death of the Series, then you'd have heard me give my reasons towards Phone Guy mentions in the third game the springlock failure is likely to have happened at the diner. This would be prior to Phone Guy starting at the restaurant. If that theory was true, then Mrs. Afton had have been known publicly as having died, although her soul would be haunting the Spring Bonnie costume. If William had sought a relationship after moving away from New Harmony and the diner, then to the outside world he was available. Although, if her soul continues to survive, then she is still his responsibility. This could be the mistress title the soap opera is pushing. Clara has a young infant within the soap opera. Vlad mentions he is an old man and that he can't be a father. Trying to guess William's age, we can presume Mike was at least 13 during the bite of '83. Tall enough to lift his brother up but immature enough to perform the act. Mike would be born around 1970. As William would need to be around 25 to be a father to a newborn, we could presume he was born around 1945. If William had a relationship with someone new, he'd be forced to move away from Hurricane to avoid scrutiny from the public uproar following the events of the missing children's incident. Also prior to the events of the Silver Eyes in 1995, where we was trapped for 6 months in the Springlock suit. There are enough years between these events for William to have another child. The line from Clara about Vlad working the graveyard shift at the Fry Me Taco makes me think about the night guard position that William was using while using the name Dave Miller. And the restaurant in question was Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Restaurant, now under the shopping center. During the final speech that Mike gives to his father at the end of Sister Location, Mike makes mention that they didn't recognize him at first. They had thought that Mike was his father. As I suspect Sister Location takes place after the events of the third game, Mike would have had the time to become an adult where he could look like his father. Although I don't understand why the soap opera was required to drive that point in. If the soap opera was not intended to double down on Mike's description, then I would say that Mike could be wearing his father's uniform. Or alternatively, Fazbear Entertainment hadn't updated the design in decades as the non-running of the restaurant chain hadn't required one. Did the divide between father and son come from his father trying to move on? In my video, The Returning Brother, I theorized that Mike had relocated to Europe to be raised by his mother's side of the family. I had thought that Mike agreed to the move because what he had done to his younger brother was too much for him. Had his father started a relationship with another woman, Mike could have been strongly against this. Seeing her as the means to replace his mother could exaggerate the divide with his father. If William's wife had survived in the costume rabbit and William knew, then they could still be considered married. Even if he hadn't admitted it to anyone else, he'd know. During the events of the Silver Eyes, William was described as a pitiful man. By wearing the costumed Bonnie suit, his attitude changed. He remained in that suit for 6 months before being released. While not immediately after, William would take the suit off and be wheelchair-bound during the events of the fourth closet. During that time, did his wife find out about what he was doing? One more thing to mention, in the final episode of the show, Vlad had given Clara a diamond ring. Was William going to remarry? As the connection between Vlad and Clara could have been a connection with William's life following the diner, we don't get any new information about it. Is there going to be a fourth Afton child come back to the series? I don't know. Thanks for staying with me till the end, and subscribe to see more future content.